I honestly never thought that one day ongoing directive will be so strong that I have to make 2 variants of the build in one build video. Like 2 builds in one video. Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. I not only have a group variant for you guys, but also a solo variant for you guys. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm a solo player, so I gotta keep that reputation going, making solo builds. Yeah, that's what I do have. However, the only problem was ongoing directive always had is that how can you get those hollow point ammo? Like every time I make ongoing directive build, somebody always comment, how the heck do I get the ammo, man? Like, seriously. Well, that's not going to be a problem this season, let me tell you, because we're not only just bleeding targets, which ongoing directive always does, we're also burning targets, and that's allowing us to get the hollow point ammo very easily. Like, seriously, very easily. So you're going to really enjoy playing this because I sure did. So, interested? Okay, let me show you. But before that, let's talk about the modifiers. Now, speaking of modifiers, let me show you the modifiers here. So in this build, of course, I'm using the overdrive here because whenever you just press this modifier button and like activate this, you get like instant unstoppable modifier, which is like the max modifier basically. So that way you're always, starting out with a max modifier. So you're also going to get like weapon damage and rate of fire and stuff, but we don't really care about that because it only stays for 10 seconds. We do care is that we're going to be staying at unstoppable stage where most of the time your shield will be like invulnerable and you're just going to do more damage, you have more RPM and stuff like that. Now, it does say that you will, gain momentum less, like 70% less for 150 seconds, but that's not really an issue. We can easily counter that with our passive modifiers, such as like the critical momentum. So whenever we crit, we grant, momentum. So this will happen pretty much all the time because you can be critting pretty much all the time. So yeah, you'll get momentums really quickly. And same for the other one is also we have critical recovery, which whenever you crit, you get healing. So that's kind of nice to have. So these two, when you're running like a DPS, like a crit build, you should always like use these two passive modifiers. Now, the third one is where all the magic is happening, especially with the ongoing directive synergy here. So we're using this microwave coil, the modifier. So what happens is that when you pulse the targets, when you pulse enemies, you have up to 4 enemies that can affect by the burn status effect. That can happen. And it happens pretty much all the time. It is very consistent that it happens. Now, you gain 5% bonus modifiers, momentum, which is pretty good. So you build up the momentum even more quickly with this, which is nice. However, the fun thing is that whenever you burn the targets and you take them down, you get hollow point ammo or your ongoing directive, gear set. So that's the kind of cool synergy that happens with this modifier. So that's the reason why I actually chose it. Plus, burning enemies will not shoot you back like the bleeding enemies does. So that's also nice. Kind of like a crowd control happening in a way. So yeah, these are the modifiers here. Now, as for the weapons, I'm actually using the Lexington here. It's just, I have the Lexington, that's what I'm using it. You don't have to use the Lexington. If you, of course, don't have the Lexington, don't stress it. You can use any high-end weapon you want as long as that weapon can use the linked laser pointer. Like it has the long underbarrel rail. You can fit the linked laser pointer from the technician specialization, which is my specialization for this build. That's what I'm using. So you can choose that weapon and use the laser pointer so that when you're aiming down sight your weapon, you're pulsing the targets. Like anything you look at, they get automatically pulsed because of the laser pointer. That's the only reason why I'm actually using the Lexington. Plus also at the same time, it's maxed out, guard roll in a way, and I have weapon expertise and stuff like that, so I'm using it. But if you have any other weapon like this, which can hold the laser pointer, you can use it. Lexington is not really an 100% like need that you have to use Lexington, okay? So that's the only reason. Now, as for the secondary, I'm using the Pestilence here. The Pestilence is here to basically kill bosses. Like it's a boss killer weapon for this build. By boss killer, I mean not heroic content bosses. That's just too easy. Lexington can take care of that with the hollow point ammo easily. You can just clear any heroic content without an issue. Like even incursions if you're doing that, because there's all elites over there, so you can do that. And anything you throw at this build, it'll just handle. Even if you're going in the countdown, it'll be fine. But the Pestilence here, it's for the legendary bosses. Like legendary bosses, of course, will not die with just 50 rounds of Lexington. I mean, come on. That's not happening, right? So if that's not happening, that means you're losing your hollow point ammo. And if you're losing your hollow point ammo, then you're losing a lot of damage, like a lot of damage. So how can you just kind of like fix that? So with Pestilence, you can fix that because it has its own take damage like Plague of the Outcast. If you're using the DPS, like a group kind of variant, which I'm going to show you, that will do significant amount of damage. Like we're talking about more than 900k per take. And that's from a weapon that doesn't even have weapon expertise. If you add expertise, this Plague of the Outcast will take over 1 million. That is crazy. So you can do that without have to worrying about having hollow point ammo. I mean, if you have hollow point ammo on Pestilence, that's just great. That's really awesome. But if you're fighting a boss that is just solo, like on a legendary mission or something, and you don't have any extra adds nearby the boss to get yourself the hollow point ammo, that's the time you use the Pestilence. That's why I have the Pestilence. It's just to take down those bosses for the legendary or higher difficulty content missions, basically. That's the reason why I have it. Otherwise, anything below that, like heroic content, control points and stuff like that, missions, all that, yeah, Lexington can take care of that, or any weapon you choose which will have hollow point ammo, it can take care of that without an issue. But Pestilence is just to clear out the bosses for legendary missions. Now, as for the build, this is the build here. As you can see, this is basically the group variant that I'm calling it, because it's like all red, so you have like damage and no survivability or anything. So it's just if you want to play it in a group like this, like which goes like full on damage, this is pretty much what you should be using. You can change some of those red cores to blue, but honestly I wouldn't recommend it, because you're just dropping your damage at that point and not really helping you in terms of healing or anything. Like adding more armor won't heal you, simple as that. Like it'll do delayed damage or less damage in a way, but you're taking damage still, right? So I already said that I'm using the Technician Specialization for the Linked Laser Pointer, and I'm using a weapon that can hold the Linked Laser Pointer, which in this case is the Lexington. You can use whatever you want. Now, as for the gears, I'm using, of course, 4 pieces of Ongoing Directive, including the chest. Like, if you're using Ongoing Directive build, you should use the chest, because the chest gives you more, like, damage. Now, if you don't know what actually Ongoing Directive does, like, it gives you the Rule of Engagement talent, which gives you hollow point ammo. Now, how that works is basically when you're shooting an enemy which has status effect on them, like when you apply status effect on an enemy and you're shooting them, they get a marker on them, like a red marker on them. Now, even if that enemy is no longer in status effect, whether it's bleed, burn, shock, whatever, if the status effect is gone from them, it's okay. As long as they have that red marker on top of their head and you take them down, you get hollow point ammo on the weapon that you have currently equipped. So that's how basically it works. And hollow point ammo amplifies your weapon damage by 20% and also applies bleed on hit. Now, that 20% is getting increased to 50% of amplified damage if you're using the chest piece. So that's why I always say use the chest piece of Ongoing Directive, because that's 50% of amplified damage, come on. Now, as for my attributes, I have weapon damage, crit damage, and crit damage mod here. For the mask, I went weapon damage, crit damage, and crit chance mod. For the holster, I have weapon damage and crit damage. And for the gloves, I have weapon damage and crit damage. So that's my 4 piece of Ongoing Directive. Now, as for the high ends here, like the backpack, I chose a Sheshka because, we need crit chance on this build. The crit chance is kind of a... it'll go low if you add too much crit damage. So just make sure your crit chance is higher, but not super high. Like 50% is fine. Or even if you're at 45%, that should be fine. 45 to 50% crit chance should be fine, in my opinion, because you do have the modifier thing that increases your crit chance by 10%. So you have to keep that in mind as well. So if you kill blacklisted enemies, you get 10% crit chance and weapon handling. So if your crit chance is, let's say, 45%, you'll gain 55%, from that. And if it's 50%, then you're capping at 60%. So you have to keep that in mind, okay? You don't want to overcap it. So yeah, that. Now, as for the talent, I have Wicked talent here. Now, if you're playing in a group, you can change this Wicked talent to something like Vigilance. If you can keep the Vigilance active at all times, pretty much. So that'll be nice, because it is more damage, 25% of weapon damage. But I feel like Wicked is just doing a better job here, because it's not only staying active at all times, but also 18% weapon damage is not bad either. So yeah, that's my Sheshka. And if you check my stats here, you can see crit chance, crit damage, and crit damage mod. Now, for the knee pads, I went with Fox's Prayer because, I mean, even though it's a rifle, like, kind of set, still, damage to target out of cover is damage to target out of cover. So, it's basically a no-brainer. Like, you have to use this thing. It's just good damage increase for you. Like, any DPS build, basically. That extra damage to target out of cover helps a lot. And I have crit chance over here. Now, if you're using the Pestilence a lot, or you're using a LMG as well as your primary weapon, you can change the gloves and change it to something like the Contractor gloves, because then you'll get 10% of LMG damage and also 8% of damage to armor. So that's good. And then you can change the knee pad to another Ongoing Directive piece. You can do that as well. If you want, you can use Coyote Mask as well. If you want more crit chance, crit damage and all that, you're going to use Coyote. You can change this knee pad probably. But then, honestly, the Fox's Prayer is actually good damage, so I wouldn't recommend dropping it. But if you really want crit chance more, then I understand, so you could do that. So this is pretty much the DPS variant of the build. And this is what I would recommend using when you're playing in a group. I mean, you can use this solo. I was also using it. It's kind of fun, but playing in a group, this is perfect for that. Now, if I show you my stats on the build, like the damage variant that is, like the group variant, so you can see I have 46% crit chance and like 129, basically 130, percent crit damage there. You don't need much crit damage on this build, kind of like Striker, because Striker also does a lot of damage from the amplified damage from the Striker stacks. Same as Ongoing Directive does a lot of damage from its hollow point ammo, the amplified damage. So you don't have to worry about, crit damage being low. It's fine. Your damage is just super high. You can already see that how crazy the damage numbers are. Now, as for the crit chance, it's 46%. Like I already said, the modifier is going to give you 10 more percent crit chance. So currently my crit chance is actually 56%. Whenever I kill the blacklist enemies, I'm going to get 56% crit chance. So this is fine. This is totally fine. So yeah, that's my stats there. So this is the solo variant of the build, and you can see that I have Memento here. I know. I'm not calling it a regen god mode build just because I have a Memento here, okay? The reason why I have the Memento because I feel like I need to have this Memento, and it's hard to beat here. Like, there is no other thing that will be better than this in particular slot. That's why I have the Memento, trust me. Because if you add any high-end, backpack or something, you can add something like a Bloodsucker Talon. That will give you tons of bonus armor, but it won't heal you, right? You will take damage, and the damage will be applied on the bonus armor, so it's okay, but then again, it won't heal you, right? You can also use clutch or perfect clutch in this case, like devils do. It will heal you, of course. You can use that. However, to be honest, Memento is just fine. Memento is doing a great job. It's not only giving us, bonus armor, weapon damage, but also healing us. So as a solo player, that regen that is Memento is giving you, it is nice. It is really nice. The moment you have those trophies picked up, the healing is really good. So that's the reason why I have it. Now, as for the high-end piece, I have contracted gloves because I'm using the pestilence a lot. So it's only fair to use this because, it gives you LMG damage plus damage to armor as well, 8%. So yeah, that's the reason why I have it. Now, my knee pads, I actually changed the red to blue, like armor core here. I kind of want to change one more, but unfortunately I can't. Because my pieces won't allow me to change the weapon damage core to armor core, because I can't change that. Otherwise, I kind of felt like I want one more. The reason why I said I want one more blue core, because that will increase the regen that I get from the Memento, plus also at the same time the bonus armor. It's not because I want more survivability, it's just I felt like I have a lot of damage. So I thought, like, when I'm playing solo, why not just add a bit more armor? That should be fine. So I get even more healing, so I can be even more aggressive. Yes, I am playing very aggressively with this. Even if I take too much damage, my armor is broken, I don't care. I'm just playing aggressive with this because of the modifier. The modifier that burns the target, the microwave coil. So whenever I pulse them, they burn. And burning targets won't fight back. Bleeding targets do fight back, but burning targets won't. So that's the reason why I am being a bit more aggressive here. And that's the reason why I said I want a bit more armor here. That's the only thing that I think I would change on this. Otherwise, it's totally fine. You can just use it all red if you want to. It's okay. So yeah, that's basically, the build here. Now, if I show you my stats, you can see my crit chance a bit lower than the previous build, like 2%, which is okay. Again, I told you if the modifier is active, this will be like 54% crit chance. The crit damage is a bit low, like under 100%, I understand. But then again, it doesn't matter because of the multiplied damage. I mean, the amplified damage, sorry, that it's giving you from Ongoing Directive. So just like Striker does. So, crit damage is not really a big factor in this case. It's okay. The damage is super, super high. So that's basically for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like, subscribe, because that's free. You can always change your mind later. And also, if you do have a variant of your Ongoing Directive build that you want to share, you can do that in the comment section too. I would love to see what you are cooking. Okay, so that's basically for the video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Till then, peace.